So, hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. Now, this is it. This is the one which I'm most excited about doing. This is my least best films of 2017. So, I've taken all the films I've seen last year, and I've ranked them from least to best. So, we're going to start off with my least favourite film that I saw in 2017 and work our way all the way to my favourite film that was released in 2017. I haven't seen every single film, obviously. Gonna bring the chair down a bit. I haven't seen every film that came out in 2017, obviously. There are films like Three Billboards and The Shape of Water, which I haven't seen. There are other films which, bit controversy around, like Coco, which was released in 2017 in America. But here in the UK, it's actually a 2018 film, so I've left that one off the list. I have seen 24 films in 2017. So out of the 24 films I've seen, here they are from least to best. So we're going to start off with my 24th favourite film from 2017, and that is Transformers 5: The Last Knight. This was a really bad film, guys. I can tolerate the Transformers films because most of the time they are fun. This one wasn't fun. The plot made no sense. The characters were bad. The storytelling was awful. This was, without a doubt, the dumbest film I think I've ever seen. And I've sat through films like Birdemic and The Room. So, yeah, that was a really, really dumb film. Next one up, I actually don't own, so I've literally just put a bit of cardboard here. And that is the Emoji Movie. Yes, I sat through the Emoji Movie. Me and my mate sat through that when I went down to visit them in Bournemouth. It was a very, very bad film. But it wasn't as bad as Transformers because we were laughing at it. Transformers 5, we weren't laughing at. We were generally bored and wanted to kill ourselves. Whereas the Emoji Movie was a funny bad film. You could sit through it and actually laugh at certain points in it. The voice acting wasn't terrible either, but of course the CG around it was pretty bad. The storytelling was pretty bad, and generally it was a pretty dull film to watch at the end of the day. Next one up is, I believe, the only Disney-related animated film that came out last year, because Moana was at the tail end of 2016, and Disney didn't have any animated films in 2017, which was a real shame. But they had a Pixar film. And that is Cars 3. Not Finding Dory, that was also 2016, I believe. 2016. So the only film that Disney animated really done was Cars 3, which is a real shame because I love the Disney animated films. Moana was fantastic. And, you know, Pixar have also been doing some good ones lately as well. So it's a shame that Cars 3 was their only release last year. But, yeah, it's an okay film. It's very average. It's better than Cars 2, but not as good as Cars 1. It's a very middle-of-the-road film. One which I don't think anyone wanted nor was asking for. But we got it. The next one up is a sci-fi film. This is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It's better than what people gave it credit for. People just went ahead and trashed this film, and it definitely doesn't deserve that. It's a fine film. It's okay. The CG is really good at points in this film, but then at other points in this film, the CG is some of the worst CG I've seen in 2017. The two lead actors definitely didn't help sell this film, because neither of them are very good actors in my opinion. It's an okay film. It's nothing to go shouting about at the same time. It's just a very middle of the road film. Next one up, again, I don't own, so I've just put a bit of sleeve here. I do have this one on pre-order though, it's just not out yet. And that is Justice League. Yeah, so Justice League from DC, very disappointing film. It's an okay film. It's a very middle of the road film because at the same time, you have great things happening in the story to do with Superman's return, which I'm pretty sure isn't a spoiler. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that by now. You know, Ben Affleck as Batman killed it, even though I didn't like some of the things they'd done with Batman. The story was just very generic. I really feel like Joss Whedon ruined it, and Zack Snyder's vision of Justice League should have been left intact, whereas Joss Whedon just changed a lot of it and ruined it. Also, why they got rid of Hans Zimmer, I don't know, because the music in this one sucked. Yeah, the CGI is a mess. There are certain characters like the Flash which they just didn't get right at all. And I just wanted so much more from this film. And generally I felt like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman built up this story arc really well. even though I'm not the biggest fan of Batman v Superman, I felt like they built up this epic story, which was going to get concluded. The Zack Snyder story was going to get concluded, and they just blew it all off for another very average Joss Whedon superhero team-up film. So, the next one up is another film I was very disappointed in, because I'm a big fan of this trilogy. My last video was on this, not trilogy, this series of film, Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is Dead Man Tell No Tales, or Salazar's Revenge, whatever you want to call it. I don't care, really, to be honest, because I wasn't a fan of this film. I liked it more than Justice League purely because it felt more fun, because it was an adventure film, because the first hour of this film is okay, and the CG in this film was great. It was really good. Salazar looked fantastic, I thought. The story made no sense, and characters were ruined, in my opinion, in this film. So, yeah, and I'm a massive fan of the Gorovinsky original Three Pirates, and this film basically just tarnishes them films, which is a real shame. Okay, next one up. This is where we start to get into some okay films. Didn't mind this film. I watched it last night, funny enough, with my parents, and that's Murder on the Orient Express, starring Kenneth Branagh, and also directed by Kenneth Branagh. And I think this film shows how talented Kenneth Branagh is, because he is really good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. However, the pacing of this film was off. I was left feeling very disappointed at the end, because I didn't like the conclusion of this film. But until then, it was a fine film. The acting in it, though, all round is superb. It's some of the best acting I've seen from Johnny Depp. Yeah, and of course, it's great to have Daisy Ridley in it as well. It's nice to see her doing another project. The next film up, again, I got through this film because I did enjoy it. It's okay, but I did feel disappointed with this film as well, and that is Alien Covenant. It's an okay addition to the Alien series of films. It's okay, but it doesn't add to what fans wanted at the same time. Again, I wanted a more Prometheus feeling film, and I really feel like Ridley Scott just caved to the popular demand. I want to see more aliens, so I'm just going to give you more aliens, just give you another alien film. I think at the end of the day, fans did want to see more aliens, but they didn't want to see an entire alien film at the same time. They wanted to see something carry on well from that Prometheus film, and we didn't get it. It's an okay film, but I don't know where they're going to go from here. Now that Disney are supposedly buying Fox, I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. It's going to be interesting, but Alien Covenant it's a weird watch. Okay, so the next one up is one of the very first films that came out in 2017, I believe. Not the first, but one of the first ones. Kong Skull Island, and I really feel like people have forgotten about this film. I actually quite enjoyed this film. Don't get me wrong, the characters in it, I really didn't care for any of the characters. Maybe John Goodman's character a bit. Brie Larson I kind of had some interest in as well. I kind of felt sorry for her character at the start. So yeah, don't get me wrong, the characters weren't great. But I loved it because it wasn't the generic King Kong story. I really liked it because it was different and unique. I thought Kong looked fantastic. It really was a fun adventure film. I really did enjoy this film. It was good. It isn't great, don't get me wrong. I don't want to stick up for it too much here. But it was fun. And the end credit scenes did get me excited for what's to come in this monster universe. So, yeah, pretty good film. Next one up is It. Of course, the Stephen King remake. It was a good film. I did enjoy this. I felt like people boasted about it way too much when it came out. People were saying it's like the greatest horror film ever. It's really not. It's not even there to make you jump. I feel like some other people were kind of being harsh on the film because it didn't scare them enough. And again, it's not there to scare you. It's a very impactful film. The directing in it is really good. The acting in it is superb. But I feel like there are bits in the story which needed to be explained better in the film. People who know the story of the character It will know why certain things happened, how certain things make sense. But for newcomers of the film, they're not going to get it. So while it was a good film, it wasn't great, and I do feel it got a bit overrated in 2017. But it's a good film, and I do look forward to seeing the next one. The next film up is one which I took my sister to see, and I really like this because I'm a huge fan of musicals. I love musicals, they're great. and it's a beautiful Disney film. It really is. And I was a bit skeptical of this film when I first went to see it. I was a bit like, oh, do I really want to see this? But that's Beauty and the Beast. It's a very fun, family-friendly film. It's really good. It's got some beautiful songs in. Absolutely fantastic. The CG, 9 times out of 10, is great on the Beast. It's funny because the Beast looks fantastic, I think. What doesn't look great is his clothes in certain scenes. It looks like they're very stiff and doesn't look like they're flying very well. But other than that, the Beast looks fantastic. The characters in it are really good. The acting in it is fantastic, from Emma Watson to Ewan McGregor. It's just really good. And it just flows really well. It's a beautifully paced film and great directing. All round, this is a really good film. Really good film. Next film up is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine because I had such a fun time watching this film, and that is the Lego Batman movie. I was a big fan of the Lego movie when it came out. I really did enjoy it. I was very skeptical on a film or a spin-off of a Lego character, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. The voice acting was fantastic. And again, this is a film made for those DC fans who are dying for some good DC material at the minute, because they really called out Suicide Squad, and they also had a couple digs at Batman v Superman and Band of Steel as well in this film. It's a really good film, and I respect it a lot for what it done. And it's a very, very funny film. And that's one of the things. I haven't seen many comedies this year because there haven't been any comedy films that come out that interested me, really. But that is, I can guarantee you, even if I watched a lot of the comedy films that come out this year, that would still probably be my favourite, or easily top 3 favourite comedy films of 2017. Okay, so the next one up is the first Marvel film which I'm going to talk about, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Definitely doesn't live up to the first one. Not at all, in my opinion. It's still a fun film. It's got some great action sequences in it. And has amazing CG in it. Great special effects. And the acting's really good. And there's some real heartthrob moments in it, which you don't expect from this film, where you can feel the tears coming. It's not a very well-paced film, and I don't like the humour in this film. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple bits which I laughed at. But I really felt like the humour was way too forced in this film for me. But I did like the villain in it, Ego, which is good. To be fair, out of all 3 of the Marvel films I'm going to talk about in this video, it's been Marvel's best year for villains. All 3 of them have been pretty good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I believe this is the last one before we're into the top 10. And that's Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I know some people really don't like this film. I know that I'm in the minority here when I say I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy this because the plot, don't get me wrong, the plot wasn't great, but it didn't feel too unnecessary at times. And I just had a lot of fun with this film. I find this film really fun. The action sequences are great. The acting is great. There are bits in it which annoyed me, don't get me wrong, like Elton John being in it. I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, it's not quite as good as the first film, but it's a very fun film. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the top 10, guys. So here we go. These are my 10 favourite films of 2017. Starting off at number 10, very surprising, a DC film has made it. It's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a very fun superhero film. It was really entertaining. Gal Gadot, she's not a great actress, but man, she killed it in this. Chris Pine was great as well. I liked it because it was its own thing. There was very subtle. There was only a few little hints as to what was to come in Justice League. But yeah, it was great. Really good. Great pacing. The No Man's Land scene is still one of my favourite scenes of any film of 2017. It was. I remember watching it in cinema and I had a great time with this film. And the next film up, I am a huge fan of Edgar Wright, so I had to see this film, and that is Baby Driver, coming in at number 9. It's a really solid film. It's a lot of fun. It's got great pacing, great music, great acting, and all round it's just a really, really fun film. And I think this film could do with a sequel. I really do. It would be really good. Okay, so the next film up, I also do not own. I do not own on Blu-ray. I only watched it today, actually. And I was waiting to watch this film to do this video because I knew it'd rank high in my video. So coming in at number 8 is Get Out, which is a kind of horror film. It's basically the story of white girl brings her black boyfriend home to her white family, and it turns out that her family are a bunch of racists. And it's actually a very clever film. It's it is a film which you have to go in with an open mind, but the storytelling in it is absolutely mind-blowing. The directing is also fantastic. The acting, this is probably the best acted film. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe best acted film. There's one other film which contends with this. I've seen this year, or 2017, and it takes some twists and turns near the end, which I didn't expect, and I thought I kind of had a feeling this film figured out as to where it was going, and I was wrong. So coming in at number 7 is SpiderMan Homecoming. Yeah, fantastic. We got a good Spider-Man film again, finally. I mean, when was the last good Spider-Man film? You know, Spider-Man 2. So, it's been a while since we had a good one. Tom Holland is without a doubt my favourite actor to play Spider-Man. This is, I would actually go as far to say this is probably my favourite Spider-Man film. It's between this and 2. It's great. The Michael Keaton as the Vulture is great. I really like the fact that Iron Man wasn't forced down our throats like it looked like he was going to be from the trailers. And the film just flowed really well. It was a really good, really fun film. The next film up, this is the last one before we hit the top 5. So this is number 6. War for the Planet of the Apes. Andy Serkis, man. Andy Serkis, without a doubt, one of the best actors going right now. His portrayal of Caesar was fantastic. You know, I have sat through the original Planet of the Apes films, and they're good films, but they are quite dated. So it's nice to see some fresh takes on these films, and I am much more of a fan of the newer Planet of the Apes films, that's for sure. It's a really good film, guys. It's a beautifully told story. It's a beautifully well acted film. Woody Harrelson is incredible in it. It makes me really excited to see him in 3 Billboards and Solo. But yeah, it is an awesome film, guys. It is a real solid film. Okay, so the next one up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5. Thor Ragnarok, the final Marvel film. I love this film, guys. It was fantastic. It was a beautifully told story. I mean, it wasn't a great story, but it was told really well, because it's quite a confusing story if you think about it. You're jumping through all these portals and stuff throughout the film a lot. They're on Earth, they're on Asgard, and then they're on another planet. But the director, Taika Waititi, I think that's how you say it, done a fantastic job at making the film not get too confusing and bogged down. It was a really solid directing here. The humour in it works so much better than Guardians. Korg is a fantastic addition to the Marvel universe. The villain, Hela, was fantastic, portrayed by Cate Blanchett. And yeah, all round was a really, really fun film. Really, just fun. That's what that one is. It's not there to win Oscars or anything. It's just a really, really fun film. So coming in at numero 4 is the other film which I think is potentially the best acted film this year, and that's Logan. Hugh Jackman killed it this year in 2017. He had 2 amazing films, and this is one of them. Logan, it's so sad. It really just... This is the film which I come closest to crying in this year. It is directed perfectly. It is so amazing. The acting is incredible. The pacing of it is fantastic. When the CG is required, it is on point. There is very little wrong with this film. I wasn't a big fan of the villain, but that is the only thing I can say that had me on edge a little bit. Other than that, this film is damn near perfection. It is a fantastic film. Hugh Jackman, top man. Okay, number 3 is going to Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. I love Dunkirk. The problem I have with this film is that I found it a bit short. And that is all I can say. This film is not here to make you think this is the best story, nor is it there to make you think this is the best acted. It is there to put you in Dunkirk, make you feel like you were there, make you understand what these soldiers went through. And it really does that. It's so well directed. I love how they're going at different times when you look at the planes and then the boats and then the people on the beach. It is a beautifully told film. It is the scope of it. The cinematography is fantastic. It is a really, really good film, guys. Okay, so coming in at number 2, my second favourite film. I do not own on Blu-ray, but I own a book on it, so I'll hold the book up while I talk about it. And it was really hard for me not to put this at number 1. It is Star Wars The Last Jedi. Last Jedi is perhaps the most controversial film to come out this year. There is a group which seemed to just want to hate on it, but then again, that same group wanted to hate on The Force Awakens and Rogue One. So is anyone really paying attention to them? This is the film which feels the least like a Star Wars film, which I really love. Rian Johnson done a fantastic job with it. I really like the fact that it has those Star Wars elements, but then it feels like its own thing at the same time. It's a really unique film. Adam Driver is absolutely incredible in it. Mark Hamill is fantastic as well. For the most part, Daisy Ridley is also incredible. There are a few opportunities in this film which could have been done a bit better, which is why I couldn't put it at number 1, because there are things in my head which I still don't completely agree with this film. But this is a fantastic Star Wars film, guys. It's one of the better Star Wars films, that's for sure. I preferred it to The Force Awakens. I didn't quite prefer it to Rogue One, but yeah, my advice is just ignore the haters on this one, because there's always a group of haters when it comes to Star Wars, unfortunately, and half the time they've only ever watched the original trilogy, or they haven't watched any Star Wars film. It's just an easy target nowadays, unfortunately. But my number 1 film of 2017, again, it's not out on Blu-ray yet, but I have the CD. Hugh Jackman's The Greatest Showman. Man, this film was incredible. It was so fun from start to finish. I just loved every second of it. There was absolutely nothing about this film I disliked, really. The only thing is the CG was a tad off at times when they were showing the animals. And there's a scene where he's on the back of a train and the train's pulling away. That is like the only time the CG looks a bit out of place. Other than that, this film is perfection. The acting is fantastic. The story is fantastic. The pacing is fantastic. The music is incredible. It is unbelievably amazing. Yeah, this film is top shelf. It's possibly my favourite musical. It's an incredible film. Just incredible. So anyway, there we go, guys. There's the 24 films I've seen from 2017, ranked from least to best. As I say, there are a few films I haven't seen this year, like Three Billboards, Shape of Water, Moonlight. So when them films are added, maybe this list would be different. But for right here, right now, out of the films I've seen, that's how the list stands. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.